Okay, well, for a month now, we have been talking almost entirely about inner, like the inner self, what God's creating us to be. And we're still doing that, but we're sort of transitioning also into outer. So this is the week of transition, and then after this, we'll spend 2 weeks talking about some outer things, and then we'll talk about dating and stuff like that. So for those of you that know this, you can't say anything, but I brought my onion as my visual aid. So I love onions, because they add a lot of flavor to food, and when you cut them open, your eyes water, and they're really strong in their flavor, and they smell up the whole house, and I'm a big fan of onions. So tell me what you're thinking.
It's an apple.
No, it's an onion. I'm the teacher in this class, and I said it's an onion. So isn't that make it true?
No.
But I said, and I'm the teacher, so I can define and I can label this an onion, and that makes it an onion, right?
Nope.
Okay, so what if your mom says this is an onion? Is it an onion? If mama says it?
I think she's being really stupid.
What about daddy? What if daddy says this is an onion? Is it an onion?
I would just laugh at him.
Okay, what about the best looking guy in your school? What if he says that this is an onion? Is he correct?
I will definitely not agree with them.
So even if he says, Avery, this is an onion, you're going to smile and go, no, it's not?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so what about brothers, sisters, say it's an onion? Is it an onion?
Definitely no.
Why not?
Well,
Never
Why is it an
trust a
onion?
sibling.
one, irritate them, but
Rule number 1, never trust a sibling.
yeah.
Okay, so basically, it does not matter if I think it's an onion. It doesn't matter if your teacher says it's an onion, if your mom says it's an onion, if your boyfriend says it's an onion, if President Obama says it's an onion. It is not an onion. It's an apple. Why is it an apple?
Because it's the way God made it.
Because that's how God created it. So God is the only one that can define what this is. So if your entire life, though, if you are taught that this is an onion. So Dustin and Kate just had their new baby. I got to hold him, Edison. He's so cute. So if they tell Edison that this is an onion, what is Edison going to think that this is?
Because he's so innocent.
Right. So if his entire life he is told that this is an onion, he's going to believe it even if it's not true. Okay, so then if someone tries to come along and explain to him that really it's an apple, he's not going to believe that. He's going to believe a lie because he was raised to think he was an onion. That's exactly right. So, again, the only thing that can ever define what this is God, because God created it. So the Creator is the only one that can define it. The Creator is the only one that can say what it truly is. However, if someone is raised being told that this is an onion, that's what they're going to believe that it is. So I always use that to talk about you. It doesn't matter who says you're whatever, however you're labeled. And in high school, there are tons of labels that get put on us. It doesn't matter how your parents have labeled you. It does not matter how your friends have labeled you. It does not matter how the guys have labeled you. They don't have the right to put the label on you. Only God does. Only God gets to define. And guess what? You don't even get to label who you are. Now, as women, we are the hardest on ourselves. We are, I'm so stupid. I just can't do anything right. Dang it, I'm so ugly. I just don't look good today. And so as women, we put terrible labels on ourselves all the time. But still, I don't care if this apple thinks it's an onion. It doesn't make it an onion. So what I want to talk about is labels, correct labels and incorrect labels, and how to move into how God labels you and how God defines you. Okay, so that's the label you want on your life, and that's the label that you want people to see. So whether you like it or not, you have 5 to 7 seconds to make a first impression on people, like it or not. That's not fair, but it's true. And you're the same way. When you see someone within 5 to 7 seconds, you have already made a judgment about them based on what you see and how they act. So what I want to ask you, ladies, is what do you want them to see? How do you want to erase the labels? How do you want to be labeled? And how does God label you? So this is what I mean by that. I thought about this in my life only a few years ago, honestly. I wish I would have thought of it long ago. But what made me think of it is I am a trainer for a living. I'm a personal trainer. So after several years of personal training, I realized that I walked around in trainer clothes all the time. And I had become to identify myself as a trainer, just as a trainer. Not this is part of me, but this is me. I am Miss Ponytail, sports clothes, trainer, Jillian Michaels trainer. I got to be tough. And then I realized that's part of me, but that is not by a long stretch all of who I am. But if I go around all the time and my outer appearance says trainer girl, then people are going to label me just as that. And that's how they're going to see me, as what I put off exterior. So when I say that's not all of who I am, really, if I think about who I am, I have a very old soul. I love hanging out with people from the World War II generation. So those people are like in their 80s and 90s. Those are some of my favorite people on earth. I love 1940s jazz. I'm an introvert. I like to read. I like to be alone. I've always had super high biblical convictions. From a very little girl, I was very convicted by what the Word of God said. I've always been very modest. I did not want an audience in the room when I had my children. I wanted me and my husband and as few people as possible. I'm very modest. And I have a very high sense of right and wrong. So I thought, is that what I am telling the world? Is that what people think of when they see me? Or do they just think, trainer, she's probably mean and yells at her clients all the time? So what I did is I began to think, God, who did you create me to be? And how do I want to express that to the world? So what I did is I thought of descriptive words. Lord, what do I want people to think of in that first 5 to 7 seconds that they see me? And beyond that. Because you have 5 to 7 seconds to make that first impression. And it takes, I can't remember what the statistics is, but like 20 encounters after that to erase a bad first impression. So if you think of something, if you see someone and that first time you meet them, something comes to your mind, it may take 20 more times of seeing that if your impression is wrong. Isn't that crazy? But it's true. So I thought, what are some descriptive words? And I wrote some down that I felt like fit who I am. So I'm not going to read you necessarily my descriptive words. I'm going to read you some descriptive words so that you kind of understand what I'm talking about. And if any of them ring a bell with you, write them down. But if they don't, think of the descriptive words that God is showing you about yourself. So I wrote down lovely. The word lovely means attractive, beautiful, especially in a graceful way, very good or likable. So lovely is not just outer beauty. Lovely is inner beauty. It's having a goodness about you. It's having a likability about you. Then there's the word fireball. I've heard someone say, well, she's a real fireball. Energetic, an energetic person, a go-getter, someone that really is going to go get the job done. Fireball. Charming, a very pleasing or appealing person. Fun, someone who's amusing, entertaining or enjoyable. Godly, religious, devout, reverent, and holy. Unique, something or someone that is unlike anything or anyone else. Very special or unusual, belonging to or connected with only one particular thing, place, or person. Unique. Poetic, having a beautiful or graceful quality. That kind of surprised me on the definition of poetic. Having a beautiful or graceful quality. That's not what I would have thought poetic meant, but it does. So, again, I'm just giving you examples. So that's what I mean when I say, you're saying, God, who am I? What are the words that you label me as? How do you see me? What fits my personality? Who did you create me to be? What are those words? And then there's labels that we might be afraid of as Christians. Oh, she's so holy. And they say that like it's negative. You just think you're so holy. Holy means set apart. It means other than. It means different. God sets us apart for himself. Holy. Okay, get this. Prude. You're so prude. The word prude, this is so awesome. It comes from French origin. I can't pronounce it. Prude femme or something like that. It comes from the word prudent, and it actually is defined as a good woman. So if someone says you're prude, they're saying you're a good woman. Well, thank you very much. I'll take that label. You might have meant it derogatory, but I will consider that a compliment because prudent, it means a good woman. Chaste, defined from the Hebrew in Scripture to mean sacred. Well, she's just chaste. She's sacred. That, to me, is very, very beautiful. So we're going to get into those a little bit more when we talk about dating and being afraid of how guys might label you. So we'll hold on to the labels we're afraid of for a little bit later when we get into dating. But in that, like I said, if you will just think about who is God creating you to be. So I'm losing my notes. I want you to ask yourself, ask God, not ask yourself, ask God, because he's the definer. Who did he create you to be? How does he see you? Who are you? What is your calling? What is the call he's placed on your life? Why did he put you here? What does he want you to do in this world? Okay? Write down what he shows you. Write down the words that he gives you. How does he, describe an apple? Sweet, juicy. This one's green. Some of them are red. How does God make the definition? How does he define who you are? Who did he create you to be? So then I want you to redefine yourself according to that, outside of the cultural norms. All the labels that have been placed on you before, write those down too. Write down the way other people have labeled you and look at that. And the way you've labeled yourself, the way that you've said this is what I am or this is what I'm not. And the things that as women, we are the hardest. I've heard men say before, you know what? If I ever heard another man say to you what you just said to yourself, I would wipe the floor with him. I mean, if another man was like, your butt looks so big in those jeans, it's like, I would wipe the floor with him. And that's what we do all the time. Oh, I just feel I'm having a fat day. I'm so fat. Oh. We say these things about ourselves, and the guys are like, you know what? If anyone else ever said that about you, I would be so angry. So be nice to yourself. So the ways that you've labeled yourself, what do you need to erase? The ways other people have labeled you. Where is God like, no, that's not who you are. That needs to be erased. Hey, Kelsey. And then this is the hard part, but it's possible. How can you express those things in action and in appearance? I know you're like, how am I going to do that? But let me explain. So because of who I am, the list that I told you that defines me, what my personality is, what my convictions are, what my calling is, then I thought, okay, how do I want to express that in action and in appearance? So outwardly, soccer mom or glitter and gold doesn't really fit the definition of what I told you I am. That doesn't fit the old soul, the World War II loving, jazz reading, high conviction. That doesn't fit that. So I'm not going to put myself in a soccer mom label. That doesn't fit me. I'm more, I realize that what's inside of me is more like a classic vintage type thing. So that's what I want to express outwardly. So that's not necessarily what the style is today. I mean, I'm not in style at all, but it fits who I am on the inside. So, I mean, I'm wearing like solid sweaters, solid skirts, pearl brooches. It's more of a classic vintage because that's how I feel on the inside. So that's what I want to express on the outside. If I walked around in boots and jeans and cowgirl clothes, that doesn't fit who I am on the inside. That doesn't fit. So I'm going to get labeled incorrectly. So what I want to express to people on who I am, I'm going to try to express that outwardly as well as inwardly. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, any questions? Like, am I losing anybody on that? Okay, so I had to bring my visual aids. So number one, this is my first one. What is this, girls? It's a water bottle. Very good. What is this, girls? It's a wine glass. Okay. What is this? Coffee mug. Okay, and then last of all, it's a teacup. Why? Who says I can't put beer in this? I mean, maybe I can, but I guess you could, but everyone looks at it and goes teacup. It's to hold tea. Everybody looks at the water bottle and they don't go, oh, why didn't you say that's a Dr. Pepper holder? Because people put water in it. It's a water bottle. Why did you immediately say that this is a coffee cup? You didn't say teacup. You didn't say hot chocolate cup. Like, it's a coffee cup. So all of these they're all cups. They're all a vessel that holds something to drink. But they all look different according to what's on the inside of them, right? And so it is with women. And I think that if I put coffee in this, I could, but it wouldn't serve the purpose really well. And so when we have something inside of us and then the outside doesn't match, I think sometimes we're confused and people are confused because they're going to label this and go, oh, that's a wine glass. And if it's got coffee in it, it's like, no, actually, I'm a coffee cup. No, you're not. You're a wine glass. So that's what I mean by who has God created you to be? How can you express that outwardly? Because these are all the outward expression of what goes inside the vessel, if that makes sense to you. Okay? So what we're going to do, I want to show you, girls, another video that we have on what the guys have said about the inner beauty of a woman. And then in discussion, I wanted to keep the actual talk very short tonight because that's what we're going to discuss is who does God say that I am? And sometimes that's hard. And so one thing we're going to do is everyone's going to sit in the hot seat and then we're going to go around and say, well, when I look at you or when I think of you, this is what comes across to me. That way you can write it down. And here's the point, girls. Once we get to the makeovers, the point of the makeovers is not to make you look like somebody that you're not. Have you ever seen like before and after makeovers and the person looks great, but they don't look like themselves? So the point of the makeover is not to make you look like something you're not. It's meant to make you more who you are. It's meant to make you match what's on the inside. So we don't want, if Avery's a coffee cup, we don't want to make her look like a water bottle. If Izzy's a wine glass, we don't want to make her look like a teacup. We want to express what's on the inside outwardly. So it's really important that you write these things down, or we'll get to the makeovers and you'll go, well, that was fun. I looked like a different person for a day, but it didn't really do anything for you. And this is really cool. So this week, I had 2 people donate to make the makeovers better, 2 large boxes of Mary Kay and 2 things of jewelry. I was like, awesome. Mary Kay's expensive. I mean, I was like going to go get some Walmart stuff. So I'm excited about that. So anyways, we're going to watch what the guys had to say about the inner beauty of a woman, and then we're going to discuss this.
Someone that's content in who they are by themselves with the Lord. So obviously 1 being they're Christian, 2 being they are more than content with their relationship with the Lord, that if they never had a husband the rest of their life, then they'd still be fine.
I just wish women would understand that it is so easy to fit into society's norms. It's so easy to go and just be the bare minimum. If you find somebody that goes beyond the minimum, if you find somebody that goes outside the norms, it is because he put work and effort into that. And
does she love the Lord with all her heart? Is she seeking God above me? Is she loving? Is she caring? Is she supportive? Is she forgiving? All these things, and I want these characteristics, these values to flow into the next generation that comes forth for me. how can you not value yourselves? Because sometimes it's sad. Because you look down on yourselves because some guy's not pursuing after you right off the back like other girls, or maybe because you're not some model or whatever. You don't value yourselves. If you think appearance is the most important thing in the world, I apologize. I apologize on behalf of all the men, on our whole world and all society.
Girls who, man, they are so beautiful, like so lovely, and they are just, like they make life beautiful. Like they put like the curtains on life.